That's what I would call tits up. Right, Tim? Right?
Did it.
Who?
Cody did it.
Okay. Okay, so here it is. This is the aftermath. Well, that's not good. We're going to have to... You need to get that. You can't do two. You have to do one. You're propping it up. Now I'm going to take it back out. It has to be put on one. Actually, all the way in the back would be fine. You can't do two because then you've got one there and one there, and it's going to make the gap. Alright, so let me pick it up. I want you to put it right under here. Right under there, so that the majority of the weight is on the back of it. He didn't text me, but...
You want to use a pro on this load?
Nope. No, I want to get this thing going. It doesn't matter. Well, you can run down there with a probe. Let me get this done. Call me when it gets down there. Take them off. Huh? No, they're reaches. Okay, so in my youth, which we're talking 18 years ago, I built this wagon. And when I built it, you know, I just threw it together. I didn't think that I would ever have a problem with the wagon. The running gear that I had it on was a Hurst running gear. And I had it mounted right here. As you can see, the holes in there. So when it's mounted there, and you put bales behind there, the weight is actually closing this gap and pulling on the upper part. So that's why it was made this way. It would never break before, but because I bought the bigger running gear, or the new running gear that's much larger and heavier, the stringers are very long, so they had to, I had to stretch it out. And when I stretched it out, that transferred the weight from behind the wheels to in front of the wheels, which put all that weight right here. and that's why it's split out, which it's no big deal. I'm going to have Timothy cut the stringers. He's going to cut them off. He's going to cut them here and here, I'd say. Actually, what we should do is find the straightest part. Now, I've got a bend there, and I'm actually going to shrink this thing up about to here. I want to bring it to about here or even here. One bail behind it. So if I put those stringers here, so I'm going to have to cut a fair bit out of it. And so I'll cut it there, and we'll cut it here because it's straight. So we'll cut it off here and there, and then we'll cut it down here. We'll take a pretty good section out of here. Hopefully we don't have too much of an issue there. I don't really want to buy new ones. Their straightness really doesn't make much of a difference as long as this is holding up. So anyway, but whatever, we're going to cut them off. We're going to shrink it up. I'm going to remove those bolts there so that the whole thing will slide this way, and then we'll reattach it after I get it where it needs to be. But first things first, Mr. Tim's going to cut these off. This is probably the one you're going to want to use. Why are you putting those on? There's no dirt. Anyway, yeah, so he's going to cut that off, and then we're going to start working on that. I have to get a grinder. I'm out of gas for my torches, so I'm going to have to go do that so I can torch this apart and get it where it needs to be. I am going to strengthen the bottom side of it with some flat steel, some good heavy-duty flat steel, probably 2 pieces of it, a long piece and then a short piece over the top of that, and I'll weld it. I got plenty of gas. No, I don't have enough gas for the MIG welder either, do I? I'll use the stick welder. I could use the stick welder. That'll give me better penetration anyway.
That's what you used to make this thing, right?
Stick welder, yeah, a long time ago. So anyways, I guess just stick around and watch as the world works. I'm going to go get my tripod. So here's my mess. Oh my lord, I cut it in half, as you can see. Pretty square, about as square as it's going to get for the way that we did it. I had Timothy cut this relief slice here where it was kinked, and you can see how it settled down before I actually cut it with the what do you call it, the chop saw. So they should butt up pretty nice because we are not mixing and matching anything. But what I am going to do before I do tackle that particular part is I'm going to fix this problem here. Now, I don't know if I said this earlier because I'm doing this over the course of a few hours, but when I built this thing 18 years ago, when I built this thing 18 years ago, it was attached here, and I know I've covered this already to the other thing. So all the weight was behind it, and of course when I moved that back, it put more stress right here, obviously causing this to break. Now this has been broke a long time. The butt welds were never beveled. Sorry to say, I didn't have the experience or the knowledge enough to do the weld that I needed to do, and that's just the long and the short of it. So what I'm gonna do is I have to go down and get gas for my torches and my MIG welder, and I'm gonna come back up and I'm gonna cut the bottom side of this out. I got some steel up in the rafters. I got some really heavy steel, but I'm gonna cut this out with the torch. Cut that out. I'm gonna lay a new piece in. I'm gonna weld it down the webbing on the sides, and then I'm gonna plate the top and replace these here. Obviously replace those here and band it over the top. I'm going to have Timothy grind those bevels out with the grinder, or the butts out with the grinder, and I'm going to weld it like that. You know, I'm going to weld it while it's on its bottom and make that really super strong, and hopefully everything goes the way it's supposed to. When I get that completed, then we're going to unbolt that gizmo right there. Well, you can leave that there for now because it's just going to fall. We got to deal with this first. So get the torches and stuff off, and then I'll have you grind while I go down and get the torches. So,
What, right in here?
no, I need you to grind off these plates. This side plate and this side plate, and then make it level and flat because we're going to change that. So it's nothing to do. So I'm going to have him take those off of there. You know, they've been broke a while actually, and then we're going to just go ahead and glue it all back together. When I'm done with that, then we'll go ahead and we'll slide those rear wheels this way, splice them up there. I got some fresh flat iron over here that I purchased a long while back now. Carl went down and got it. As you can see, I've got more than enough here to deal with that particular part. So I'll be beveling. I want you to bevel these too, these tubes, because I'm going to weld them with the MIG welder. I need you to bevel these, not sharp, but about half of that steel. You're going to bevel, just grind it so that it's a nice pitch on the inside, and then I'll be able to get a good bite on that, and then I'll make these reaches stronger than they were originally by plating them, and we'll put them all together. And this wagon should be good for another 18 plus years. I'm rather shocked that it broke the way it did, and I don't think there's any need for me to go ahead and buy new reaches because I'm just going to have to shorten them up anyway. So what's the difference? I just shorten them up here. Yeah, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of guys saying, well, why did you cut them back so far? You could have just drilled new holes. It would have been too much, because these reaches go all the way to the very back of here, and that's more like 7 or 8 feet versus the 5 feet that I did cut out, and it just wouldn't have worked. This is the only way I could have done it without replacing them. Yes?
Are you going to take the oxygen?
No, I don't think I need oxygen, do I? I think I just need acetylene. That's only a little acetylene tank, so yeah, that's all I need. So anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I got that big bumper plate on the back that Tim, I want you to grind some of that stuff out of there too, right here. My bumper plate needs to be welded again. That's a hell of a piece of steel. I don't remember where I got that. I don't remember buying it, but I probably did. So yeah, here's some of the damage done to the bolts when it split. Damn it. Just aggravates me a little bit. And then you'll see me flip it back over when it's all done. So here we go.